Hey there, and thanks for joining us on this podcast. My name's Sean LaRue. I'm a loan officer with Franklin Loan Center, and I do real estate in Arizona and California. And joining me today, we have Paige Maccio, and she is an agent in the La Quinta and Idlewild areas with Compass. And we're going to get to know her a little bit better. She's one of three of us that we're putting this podcast on. Mike Jepson is a little tied up today with some other obligations, but we wanted to keep getting you guys some information and have you guys get to know us a little bit better. So welcome Paige. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
How's your day going today?
So good. Always.
We're good. We're just having some fun with some technicalities and some fun platform things going on, but we're underway here now, and I just wanted us all to get to know each other a little bit better. Um, Paige, I obviously know you very well, but people watching do not. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'm gonna go back to when we first met. Actually, let me just do this because we've
Okay.
known each other. I was thinking about this. We've known each other now for a really long time. What,
10,
like
11 years.
10 or 11 years?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was it? Greenies? When I first met you, you were doing the fitness thing,
Yep.
and we're all
Beach
pumped up
body.
on the beach body, and
The Shakeology is what it was called.
Shakeology. There's always something we can do to take care of ourselves, and we're always getting new information, and it's just really cool, really interesting how far we've come. And so yeah, Paige, tell us a little about you personally, your background. I know you grew up in the La Quinta area.
No, I actually grew up in San Diego. Um, but my family has been in the Coachella Valley for a very long time, probably since the 50s. Um, so parents kind of decided to retire, and I moved from San Diego to the Coachella Valley in 2003.
Oh, okay.
So background, I was in the food and beverage industry for about 16 years prior to getting into real estate. And, it just kind of snowballed from there. I think it's good when you have a customer service background and jumping into real estate because it kind of gives you I wouldn't say a leg up, but it allows you to have a little bit more understanding to um, customer or client demand and how to navigate their demands. So,
Hospitality. Yeah.
yes,
The
hospitality.
hospitality angle of real estate is widely um, the impact of hospitality is underestimated in the real estate
Right.
industry, I would say. So, yeah. So you would say that your experience in in hospitality has given you a leg up or a better understanding of your customer service and how you interact with people?
I think so, just simply because, in the hospitality industry, like, you're a bartender or you're a server or you're a sommelier, which, that's kind of where I ended. You're needing to read clients, you needing to read customers. Customers, they come your clients because they become repeat guests, right? And everyone has kind of a different personality. So some people want you to touch their table 10 times, some people want you to touch their table twice, just briefly checking on them. So you have to learn to like read people in a very short period of time. And I think how it relates to real estate is your initial meeting with a client. It's very usually pretty brief. And then they have to say, okay, we're committed to picking you to help me in my real estate journey, right? So it's about finding that connection in a very short period of time, being able to read what their needs are before they tell you what their needs are, right?
Right.
So I think customer service kind of gives you a leg up depending on where you're at.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit more about this sommelier background. What was going on with that?
Well, my ex-husband and I had moved to Sonoma, and we had just had our first child, Dash. And so, obviously I wanted to still work, and being a bartender or a manager, a food and beverage manager, which I had background in, wasn't going to be feasible with a young child. So decided that, hey, we're moving to wine country, and in the wineries, they have kind of opposite hours than we would expect. They are actually like a 8 to 5 versus the 4 to 2.
Right.
So kind of got into that. I really loved being immersed. I mean, I have a passion for wine anyway, so I thought it was a pretty good fit, and got to work for Ramsgate Winery um, there in Sonoma off the 12, and kind of some cool background there. And we had a master som there that was willing to take several of us on and go through the sommelier process. So
Nice.
that's how we did that.
And if you could have any bottle, any vintage, what would you go for? Is there something you've tried before that you'd absolutely recommend? And then is there one that you would really just love to try?
I think my two, well, it's hard to say like what my favorites would be, but I'll pick two of my five that I really love. I would say 2015 Silken by Parish Vineyards out of Paso. Um, Loved the 2015 vintage. I am a wine member there, so I'm still getting their Silken vintages, but I'd have to say it's a red blend. They blend it and they don't tell you what it's blended with, so it's kind of cool. But
No expectations, huh?
exactly. And I mean, it just kind of surprises you. So it's a pretty phenomenal wine. I would suggest that. Another one would probably be the Syrah from a little winery in Sonoma called Scribe. Um, Two brothers took over this property. It went from a turkey farm to a winery, then back to a turkey farm in Prohibition, and then they took it over and created Scribe. And so I would say 13 years ago, they created the winery. It's not sold in stores. Um, you'd actually have to go to Sonoma to get it or get it online. So I would probably say that would be another one of my tops. But I like boutique wines. So, one that I would say I would love to try. Um, I wouldn't say it's like over the top expensive. I think if you were to get a bottle, it's about $500 a bottle. Um, would be the new Paul Meyer Jason cab. I mean, I've had plenty of Paul Meyer. He's an excellent when it comes to cabs, but Jason has become very untouchable recently. So, haven't had a moment to try that. So
That's awesome.
that's what I would probably recommend someone if they're looking like, oh, let's dive in, but we want to dive in at 100%. That would be my choice.
So there you go. If you guys are in wine country anytime soon, check out the Scribe. Um, and those, it's sounds like it's definitely something delicious
Yes.
to savor. Um, so how
Well,
long
I
have you,
mean, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what would your favorite wines be, or someone that I think you're very much, I think we've had many a wine nights. So
we're well, you've got my palate on the bold reds, full body bold reds. I love that. I like mine a little on the sweeter side too. But I would say, I mean, I don't know any $500 bottles of wine or anything, but I'm a big fan of Caymus. I love Caymus, and What's the other one I like? Uh, Cooper and Thief.
Oh yeah, I
We
remember
like
that.
those. Yeah. You, we can, those are pretty mainstream though.
Yeah, but I think that you also introduced me to a Camus, what I like to call like a little sister quilt. You brought
Quilt.
that to fruition. I
Okay.
did try one of that. That was good.
That's pretty good.
I still have
Um,
I have a bottle right now, actually.
I really enjoyed, the Silver Oak Timeless collection. Picked up, um, picked up their collection when I was up there in 2020 or 2021, and the Silver Oak was just awesome. So,
Well,
and then we made one when we are up there too. That was good. We should try that this weekend.
yeah, that would be
It's called the
awesome.
Eagle's Nest.
Nice.
So should be good. Um, okay, so you're in Sonoma doing all that. So how the heck did you get into the Coachella Valley selling real estate? You've been doing it now for like what,
11,
nine,
11 years.
10 years, 11 years?
11 years, 2013. Um, well, I went through a divorce and then moved to the Coachella Valley because my mother and my sister lived here. So to help with the kiddos, I had two by this time. Um, so it made it a lot easier to move somewhere where you would have support. Again, going back to, okay, what would be conducive to having children? I did take on the wine buyer position at Third Corner when it was still in Palm Desert. So I was their wine buyer. Um, that was fun for a little bit, and then decided that I was going to take on getting my real estate license so that I could be even more flexible in my schedule. I think as the kids have gotten older, my schedule is definitely less flexible, just because, work is busy. And I think we kind of get ourselves to say, oh yeah, real estate is super flexible, you make your hours, but really, if you're doing real estate, your clients are making your hours for
Clients, if
you,
you
or
want
the
to be in,
business
if you're in
is,
business, you're not making
yeah,
your hours, right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So let's be honest with ourselves, right?
Right? Yep. Super flexible as long as you are.
Right, exactly, exactly.
So,
We open at 7 a.m. and we close at 9 p.m. Like, or oh, you call me at 10:30 p.m. We're still answering the phone. So
but I think part of your hospitality background goes into taking that extra care and that extra little touch. Would would you say that kind of attitude probably sets you apart from other agents from the feedback you've heard?
I think, I don't know if it's like setting apart. I think that there is agents that catch on to what's important for the industry. If they want to get good, they find a way to plug in and find mentors and find people who are better than they are at this business. Um, do you have to come from a hospitality or sales background to become a great agent? No, but I think it's very important to plug in very quickly. And what I like to call myself is more of an observer. I sit back and observe. And so when you're an observer, you can kind of pick up more, and implement more into your business by watching others and understanding that you don't have to be good at everything, but everyone is good at something. And if you're observing the right people, then you will likely be pretty successful pretty quickly if you can implement.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you're observing right now in this market? You're working with a lot of sellers right now, right?
Yep, have about 13 listings currently. Um, Obviously with this market, it's tough because we're wanting to, you know, sell listings, but sellers are also having a problem with either the market's just telling us we're still not in the right price range for buyers to be making offers.
Right.
So where they comps tell us we should be listed isn't necessarily, where we're going to end up selling. Um, but it's a slower market pace. I wouldn't say it's slow by a huge amount. I'd say we're still looking at 90-day turns, which is still pretty quick in the industry overall. Are we a weekend turn? No, but 90 days isn't unusual.
No, it's not unusual, and I think it also depends on how you're priced and where you're priced in the market, because obviously different market segments will take longer to market to those kinds of buyers. So I would say under a million probably has, different days on market, and over a million or whatever that cutoff is, it's probably like 850 or 900 or something like that. But I'm guessing, once you get out of the contingent move up range, over 600, 700, you're going to see some of those days on market be a little bit longer, right?
I would say yes, but I also think that, so for instance, let's just say we have a house. I'll, because I work a couple marketplaces, I'll use a perfect example of a cabin that I listed about 4 months ago. I listed my personal cabin and we got into contract right away. This is 625, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, just under or just over 1,500 square feet, correct? And so we got an offer right away. It fell out of escrow about 17 days later, took it off for a week, came back on at a higher price, got our higher price, ended up closing at 630. Okay. I have almost a bigger home, 3 bedroom, 3 bath, 1,800 square feet right around the corner. Has a garage, has some of it, has a spa, has everything that my personal property had. And we listed at 659. It's bigger in square footage by quite a bit. It's got an extra bathroom, it's a little bit bigger property. It sits. We're starting to lower price. I thought, okay, let's do a splash. We'll lower it to 625, which is right around where mine sold for just
Do
a
that,
month.
try to get it bid up.
Right.
Right.
Nothing, crickets. And so now here, we just did another price reduction and we're now at 615. So tell me how you've got one home that's smaller, with all of the same amenities, one less bathroom, selling quickly and at a higher price than something that's larger, has the extra amenities, and we can't sell it for even the price.
They both have pools or no pool.
Spas.
They both have spas.
Yep.
And
And
other than that,
one
there's
went into
no
contract within the
decaf
first
casita
week.
or anything, right?
Nope.
They're,
First week into contract, fell out of escrow. By the following week, it was into contract for a higher amount, and we've yet to even get one offer on the other property. So it's a very interesting market right now that we're battling out.
well, it's the
I
buyer
think a
pool right
lot of
now,
us don't know.
right? It's the
What was
buyer
that?
pool. It's the buyer pool, and
Yeah.
who's willing to pull the trigger on that. I mean, I'm guessing the views and everything were other than, the square footage and the extra bedroom and bathroom, everything else was probably pretty much the same. But yeah, why would a smaller property sell for more or be on the market for less time than a larger property? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing there are a lot of properties that have a lot of square footage, and to me it seems like there's a lot of like dead space or not very well used or utilized space. Are you seeing some of those bigger, like they're not McMansions, but bigger properties that have like over 3,000 square feet or closer to 4,000 square feet, or are some of those that feel bigger inside but aren't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's extra square footage in there, but like that could be applied to other areas where it would be used better. Are you seeing
Yeah,
properties
I
like that, like
definitely
sitting
see
on the
that,
market
but
a little
the
longer?
catch on that is those are usually in your luxury markets, and right now we're sitting at 45 to 60 days on the luxury market. If you have a luxury home coming on the market, 45 to 60 days is unheard of. It's awesome if you can get under contract in that short amount of time. Typically with luxury homes, you're signing a year contract. because with luxury homes, it takes time to get out the proper marketing to get the right buyer, because we're kind of in a whole different bracket, a smaller pool, so to speak, of buyers.
Yeah.
Now they're probably not necessarily, I wouldn't say financially savvy, but their financing options are probably a little bit more. Whereas if you're under that luxury market, and right now I would say probably 700 and under. I remember 10 years ago, 700 was still considered in the luxury, but I think you're with, blue collar workers like myself, yourself, we're looking at a $700,000 home is something that people are looking at, that's the norm.
Well, I want to point this out too, because the conforming the conforming loan amount used to be 417,000. And
Right.
starting in 2024, now our conforming loan limits go up to like 755 or more than that. I think maybe 764. I got to double check. It just came out. But that means that with 5% down, you can go 5% down with a $750,000 loan. I mean, 750 used to be considered the luxury market, but now that's pretty much what you got to spend to get in the market, and you only need 5% down. So it's interesting what we're considering those luxury markets,
Right.
and what the industry is telling us that they're willing to do, because I mean this is almost 2 times the amount that the conforming loan limit was set at, only a few years ago.
Well, and I remember when I was first getting into real estate, and I think, Mike and I were looking at a home for 350,000, and we thought that home was unattainable, you know. And then a few years later, buying a home at 500, that was like, wow, we could never see ourselves buying a home at 500,000.
Mhm.
And now it's like the new norm is, well, no, now you're in that 700 or 800 bracket. If you were to purchase a home right now, it's kind of all relative. The things are changing, but are they? And buyer pools are getting smaller and smaller. And the reason being is because, well, one, interest rates. Okay, happy they're coming down. That's a plus, and we're excited for that. But interest rates are still higher than they were when we were purchasing homes, So I do feel for my buyers right now. I have one that missed out on the Dream for All program, where they could get down payment assistance. So their budget only allows them to go to 295. But what in the Coachella Valley can you buy for 295?
Manufactured home, maybe.
And do you typically see 3 bedroom, 2 baths in a non-55 community?
Well, non-55, that'll kick most of them out, right?
Exactly. So how are they going to buy something when that's their dream?
It's
That's a
interesting.
lot of people right now. So,
Um,
but
what else are you observing? What other things, what's your experience out there that you're seeing, or something that's come up within the last week that's new or interesting?
I think some experience that I've seen here in the last, well, we won't even say week, we'll say last few weeks. Certain markets are still very hot, which is just mind blowing to me because, I feel like I work multiple markets. Um, and both the multiple markets that are my primary are very much the same, meaning that they're in the same boat. There's no similarities in the way of like we're seeing a jump in purchases or whatever. No, they're the exact same. Things have slowed. Lots of listings coming on the market, not enough buyers that are willing to pull the trigger. But let's say for LA, for instance, I took a listing in LA, and it sold within the first weekend with 13 offers. And I'm thinking to myself, LA is still seeing a ton of action. There's a ton of people looking to buy there. Have another listing coming up shortly in LA, and I anticipate it's going to be the same. So I think where I'm trying to educate myself is why do you have, a very strong area, like say the Coachella Valley? I mean, we have money in the Coachella Valley. It's mainly a secondary home area, right? And so, people who are purchasing here can really afford to do that.
Yeah, but they're also not in a rush to pull the trigger, where people in LA are there and it's either renting or moving into a home of their own, right?
Correct, but they're getting priced out. There's multiple bids. They're still in the losing out phase of real estate right now, which I get and I don't get. And that's what I'm trying to educate myself on right now, is figuring out what is the difference. Yes, I know we're a secondary home market, but we also have a lot of new construction in the valley that is building homes because we don't have enough homes to supply.
Well, and that's going to be the general issue. I mean, I think the builder industry knows that we're about 7 to 10 years out from this baby boomer fall off, where we had all these families and growing families, and now we use the metaphor, the watermelon going through the snake is kind of at this point where a lot of these boomers are starting to downsize. So one of the reasons why we don't have the supply we need is because we're going into and we're forecasting the next 10 years worth of supply. But what that means is that we're just keeping our demand as high as possible, which is keeping the prices up. And one of the things that I heard you say is, you know, in certain markets, the demand is still there. 13 offers on one property. That's 13 different families fighting for a place to live. And I think that that's a great point for what we're talking about, because it's not just the competition of other families that you're up against, but there's really some good advice and sound advice for paying slightly over list price right now and going forward. We saw it a lot in 2020 and 2021 with buyers coming in and paying way over list price, like $50,000 over, upwards of 100,000 depending on the property. But what are some of the reasons? Well, let me back up. Couple part question. Are you seeing list to closing percentages pretty close to 100? Meaning, are we seeing much of a discount off the list price?
I think it depends on which market,
Yeah.
because
It also depends on if it's priced right to begin with.
correct. I think in some areas, I'm just thinking about a neighborhood. I'll do a couple neighborhoods. Let's do Griffin Ranch. Griffin Ranch, a couple months ago was getting pretty close to asking, if not at asking. I didn't see too many over asking. Now I'm seeing just a most recent closing as 2 weeks ago, 100K off of that price. So, and that's a huge jump when you're looking at, a $1.6 million home and they close it at 152. You're like, wow, that's a big difference.
That's 15%.
Right. And so then let's do also Orchard. Setting comps at 1,425, home after home, several homes closed at that within gaps of each other. Let's look at from February to let's say September. You got one home in February that closed at 1,425. You got one home in September that closed for the same amount, 1,425. Then you go list another home, bigger square footage. It maybe not as many upgrades, but you price it well at 1,225, and it sits on the market. But just weeks prior, you got one that closed at 1,3, same model match with less upgrades. And so then you're wondering, well, what is this one going to close for? So then you drop price and now we're at 1195, under that threshold. So undersold comps, even for model match, and people aren't seeing that as value. Where's that threshold? It's just
What you're
interesting.
saying is it's really kind of all over the place.
It is. It's
Yeah.
depending on where you're at. And then up on the hill, I'd say some homes are going under contract immediately. Some homes are sitting, and you just don't understand why one gets an offer and the other one doesn't when they're very similar properties.
Have you seen or felt any kind of momentum or anything since the Fed kind of announced or kind of showed everybody that they're probably not raising the Fed funds rate, and they kind of broadcast what their plans are for next year?
I think I've seen buyers circling more,
Yeah.
more appointments, to see properties. But other than that, I don't see a big difference between what's going under contract and what isn't. I think what's happening is we're in that December lull. Someone who maybe has their home in contract and they have to find a replacement home, they're likely to be writing offers right now. But so close to the holiday, I think it's just naturally going to be a little bit more quiet. But I think between you and I, let's be honest, I mean, the Fed can announce that they're going to be dropping interest rates over the course of the next year, or 12, drops or whatever. But does that mean after they've hiked it up high again and then they start trickling down? I don't know. You're the lender. You tell me if that's what you anticipate. Because as you know, December interest rates typically go up this
Yeah.
time of year.
Yeah, actually, and they're not doing that right now. They're actually still kind of trending down. We've been seeing that over the last few days as well. It's interesting what's happening with that. For me, what I would say, I wouldn't say the rate directly is picking up the market, but I was talking to a home inspector earlier today, and I'm like, well, I guess I probably feel it a lot earlier than you guys feel it, because when my buyers are doing their homework, getting everything ready, I'm feeling that energy and that electricity because
Mhm.
everybody's positioning. And I think I think that's what's really cool, is that consumer confidence was kind of the our buyers are feeling that consumer confidence and having a lot more confidence in the market because of these kind of indicators. Um, and interest rates are down almost 1% off their highs of almost 8.25 at one point. So um, I think the Fed funds and all of those talks are definitely helping the market. Um, there's a lot of talk that it's going to be slow. I don't know. This seems slowish normal to me. But I think it's going to be a great year coasting into 24, and we're going to see some really great stuff in the valley. Um,
Well, I think to your point though, is you're getting that electricity or that energy because you work with buyers, right?
right,
Well, right now, I think it's just the season right now of my business, I'm working with sellers. So I'm not getting the same electricity that you are because they're gearing up to make offers, right?
right,
Anticipating what's coming. Whereas I'm anticipating, are we getting offers?
right.
I'm not getting that same or seeing that same electricity because I'm trying to keep the sellers engaged,
Well,
you
you're
know.
posturing them all for coming on the market and having them do their homework for what
Correct.
their goals are.
Correct.
Um, if you take a listing in February, it's still a heck of a lot of work to even get that listing, coaching them, decluttering, giving them tips and everything that goes into it. So, um, is there a time of year that a lot of people you see try to come back on the market, or what's that seasonality?
I mean, I like to think like mid-January, it's go time. You
I
know,
would,
I think it's it's interesting because our market is still seasonal too, the Coachella Valley market. If it were Idlewild, that's the time that we're quiet because of weather conditions. No one wants to be traipsing out in a snowstorm to go look at property or dealing with coming to the mountain when there's that kind of weather to look at property. So unless you're a primary homeowner that needs to move right away, and there's just not a whole lot of that up on the hill. But here in the valley, it's like, it's go time. Holidays are over. Let's get in before summer begins.
yep. It's funny you say that mid January, because I end up feeling it like January 20th. I'm like, oh, just wait till the third week of January, everything will get back to normal. And so
Mhm.
that's probably a few days after they come back on the market. So,
Right.
um, what are you looking for? What kind of clients are you looking for? Needs, wants, asks. What's Paige
Well,
working on?
would love, I mean, I have a listing in Griffin Ranch, would love to get that one done. I have a client that's looking to downsize, move back to Santa Barbara. So to get her out of her property, that would be awesome. Um, I have an investment special in Bermuda Dunes. It's actually making well over 100K a year.
That's a cool property.
Now it has 42,000 in bookings already set for 2024. So if someone's looking for a true investment and they don't have to jump through all the hoops of the Riverside County permits for
No
short-term
HOA,
rental,
short-term
no
rental
HOA,
restriction,
there's no short-term rental issues. You
no
can get a
city
permit very
restriction.
easily.
Yeah,
It's a good property and it's only at 749. So, pretty much brand new pool, was updated 2 years ago, new pool equipment, two brand new bathrooms. I mean, literally turnkey furnished. You could come in and take the keys and take over the bookings and be completely dialed.
awesome.
Mhm.
And if they wanted to get some more information, where would they contact you?
You can reach me on propertieswithpagem.com, or you can reach me at 760-851-8514.
Awesome. Guys, we're going to be continuing to give you guys awesome information on the Coachella Valley and the real estate market. Um, if you guys have any questions or comments or experiences, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. Or if there's a topic or something that is relevant to you and what you're going through or what you're gearing up to go through, we'd love to hear from you. Maybe you could even be a guest on the show if you're interested in sharing your experience or giving some tips about something that you went through. Um,
Quickly before we leave, Sean, I mean, to promote, since we're gearing up for the new year,
yeah,
you work multiple states for lending.
yep. I'm licensed in 17 different states, most of the West Coast and southern states. Um, but yeah, if you need a loan or need some advice on a loan, I could probably help out in whatever state you're looking at. And if I can't, I'll point you in the right direction. But I've got 1 out of 4 covered so far. So
Awesome.
happy to help. We do private money, conventional loans, self-employed bank statement loans, as well as we have a no doc option right now that's a little bit better than private money, where you don't have to provide any of your tax returns or any income verification for second homes and primary residences. So if you need a loan and you can't go full doc, maybe we have an option for you. So
Awesome.
thanks for joining us. If you're still with us, Paige, always a pleasure, and we'll do it again in a few weeks.
Yep. Till next time.
Awesome. We'll see you soon. Bye.